At the start of it all, when the big guy upstairs decided to whip up the universe, it was like a potter's wheel with no clay, just a blob of nothingness, as empty as my fridge on a Sunday night. The ocean was like a wild party with no lights on, completely cloaked in blackness. And God's spirit was doing the backstroke over the water. Then God yells out, "All right, who hit the lights?" And just like that, there was light. God was as happy as a kid opening presents on Christmas morning. He then decided to play interior decorator, separating the light and darkness, calling the light day and the darkness night. So, evening came and went, morning followed, and that's how we got stuck with Mondays. So God in all his wisdom says, "Hey, we need a dome to split this water up, keep it organized, you know?" And presto, it's there. Out of thin air, he's whipped up a dome, breaking down the water, one part below, one above. He gives his creation a once-over and thinks, "What should I call this?" And he goes with sky. Just like that, he gets the biggest naming rights deal in history. Evening falls, morning arrives, and that's a wrap on day 2. You know, it's funny how even God needed a 2-day work week to get things done. Guess he didn't have a good coffee machine. So, God, like the ultimate architect, gives the orders. "Hey water, why don't you folks get together? Make some room for the land." And just like that, it happens. Boom, we've got this big plot of land. He decides to call it Earth. The water he labels it sea. Then shifting into a head gardener mode, he says, "Earth, why not sprout some greenery? And you humans, get your gardening gloves on. It's time to get your hands dirty." Just like that, Earth becomes this giant botanical garden, and humans start playing Farmville in real life. God, taking a step back, admires his work. And guess what? He's pretty chuffed with it. Then the sun sets, a new day dawns, and that's a wrap for day 3. You've got to appreciate God's work ethic. I mean, who else can knock out an entire planet and still call it a day? Guys like him don't even need a coffee break. Then God, with his almighty voice, says, "Let's have some lights in the sky, folks," you know, to tell us when it's day or night, and to remind us when it's time to start celebrating the new year or some religious festival. They'll be like nature's own spotlights shining down on Earth. Just like that, it happened. So he created 2 big bright lights, the sun for day shift and the moon for the night shift. Oh, and he tossed in the stars for good measure. He set up these lights in the sky like the world's biggest light show to rule over the day and night and tell us the difference between when it's time to wake up and when it's time to sleep. God was pretty pleased with his work, as we all are when we get something right. Evening came and went, then morning arrived, kind of like the 4th day on a really long vacation. And on the 5th day, God created coffee, because he realized how tiring all this creating business really is. And then, just like that, God pulled a Seinfeld. He says, "Let the water be filled with all sorts of creatures." You know, lobsters, dolphins, those little fish with the flashlights on their heads. And I'm thinking, did he also demand a bowl of only green M&Ms backstage? I tell you, the guy's got some specific tastes. I mean, really, who needs that many types of fish? What's the deal with aquatic biodiversity? Then, in a flash of heavenly genius, the big guy upstairs goes, "Hey, let's make some people, like mirror images of us. They'll run the show down there, bossing around the fish, the birds, the cattle, all the wild things, and those little critters that scurry about." Sounds fun, right? So, God does his thing and zaps life into the first man and woman. There they are, standing in the middle of Earth's beauty, their hearts pumping with awe and respect. Suddenly, they are hit with this sense of duty, like, "Congrats, you're now Earth's caretakers." Then God gives them a heavenly high five and throws in a little homework. Get busy and multiply. Fill the earth and run it. You're in charge of everything that moves and breathes. This is how the whole human race thing kicks off. Quite the divine creation spectacle.